In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a leather band for the RoadID Elite. You can buy these at RoadID.com. They're marketed toward athletes, for example, runners and bicyclists who don't want to carry ID in a wallet. However, I bought them for my kids. One has severe allergies. Our youngest two have cochlear implants, and emergency responders need to know that not only are they deaf, but they have a magnet in their head. These are great for kids because the clasp is pretty childproof. It's a two-step process, and you have to pinch the sides to open it. I can be sure that my 4-year-old won't take it off at school and lose it. Now, the only weakness is the silicone band, especially at the point where it rubs against the clasp. If it pulls, if they catch it on something, it ends up breaking. You can see that this one is thinning, and it'll eventually break. They're $5 each, and I think I've replaced about 4 or 5 of them now. So I'm going to make a band out of leather. I found a piece of leather at Michael's here in Canada. There are always coupons on their website that'll give you 40% off any one item, so I used that. After the coupon, it only cost me about $5. I'm sure Michael's in the US or Joanne Fabric or any other store that caters to hobbies will carry these. You can also buy it on Amazon, so I'll put links in the description of this video below. Officially, this is called a leather trim piece. The only caveat is that this piece of leather is thinner than the silicone band that came with the RoadID, so the clasp might not clamp down on it properly, but we'll test that out. To get started, we'll need the leather, a straight edge to cut against, and a sharp knife. Take the existing band out of the clasp. We'll use it to measure our cuts in the leather. Line up the edge of the band against the edge of the leather. Put the ruler right up against the band. Hold the ruler in place and remove the silicone band. Then you can cut up against the ruler. Don't try to cut all the way through in one pass. Make several shallow cuts. This way you won't pull and stretch the leather and potentially end up with something other than a rectangle. I'm cutting this longer than the original one since I'm still not sure how I'm going to keep the ends in the clasp, and I wanted some extra in case I made a mistake. But you can cut it to the right size. Now that it's cut out, we'll test this out in the clasp and see if it holds well enough as is. And it doesn't. And the other side is even worse. So we'll have to get creative. I did some testing and I found that I could not just fold it over and clamp down the 2 layers. It was just too thick for the clamp to close. So I've decided I'll cut a tiny piece that will sit just behind the clamp and glue it there. This piece will prevent the leather from slipping past the clamp. I'm cutting it from the piece I already cut out since I cut it longer, but if you already cut yours to size, then cut the pieces from your scrap. If you haven't already, this is a good time to make sure that the strap is the right size. I'm cutting it a little shorter here since the leather will stretch with use. We're ready to glue the little pieces on now. They need to be glued on right at the edge. Make sure to glue the good sides of the leather together. I'm going to be using Gorilla Glue. It's good and strong for this type of application, but super glue might work just as well. I won't need much of this since Gorilla Glue expands as it cures. Once it's spread around, I'll need to take it off and wet it to activate the glue. Then do the same on the other side. Since Gorilla Glue expands, it needs to be clamped for at least an hour to make sure it stays where you want it. With both sides clamped, it's time for a break.
2 hours later.
And now the moment of truth. We'll take it out of the clamps and try to get it in the clasp. Make sure the good side of the leather is pointing the right way. Now it's going to be tight going in. One side was worse than the other, so we'll start with the easy side. Push the doubled up piece past the clamp and close the clamp. The other side is going to be more difficult, at least for me. I had to use the tip of my pliers to push it through. With that done, now it's time to put the tag back on. Since the leather is thinner than the original band, you may find that the tag slides back and forth too easily. If you want to stop that, you can clamp it down. Make sure to protect both sides with, say, cardboard so you don't scratch the metal. Then you can use pliers to pinch down on the leather and stop it from sliding so easily. So here it is, all done. I really like the look and how it turned out, and my son seems to like it too. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this and found it helpful, give it a thumbs up below and consider subscribing to my channel.